mean, if you ask me, I say Nelly's cold. Like when he came on the Breakfast Club, I told him that. He wanted to catch my fade. And he probably still wants to catch my fade, but he's cold. I mean, it's not a secret. He's cold out here. Like, radio not playing his records. I mean, I'm sure he's still getting a lot of money touring, you know, doing shows overseas and stuff. But as far as like here in the States, you tell me. I don't see Nelly nowhere. This Florida town right there. Florida the one that's constantly coming out with the hit records. Nelly's cold. But guess what? Nelly's another one who made a lot of money. Like this, man, Timbaland said the realest shit when he was on the Breakfast Club. Timbaland said, man, back in the day, artists could have like a 10, 15-year career. He said, now, man, you have a hot 4 or 5 years, and that's just it. And you know what? You got to take advantage of those 4 or 5 years. You make as much money as possible. You become a multi-millionaire, and then you make the right investments. And then when everything does cool off for you musically, hey, you had a great run. You're not sad that it's not happening no more. You should be happy that it even happened. Because you made more money in your motherfucking life in 4 or 5 years than most people will in their whole lifetime. So hopefully you took your money, invested it in the right things, and you'll never be broke again. You may not be as famous as you once were. You may not be as popping as you once were. You may not have everybody screaming your name as you once were. Radio may not be playing your records, you know, 800 times a week like they once were. But guess what? You still made a lot of money. Ain't that what this is about? Ain't this a business? With most businesses, isn't that what you want to do? You want to build up your franchise, then eventually cash out? Ain't that's what we want?
Well, I mean, when I interviewed Nelly, one of the things he told me that I thought was interesting was that, you know, historically in his career, his job was to give the record company a #1 record. I've never done viral videos. I was still doing it the way I was doing it before, and I realize now it's just a different time.
I mean, you know, one thing I think people don't realize about Nelly, I don't think nobody ever expected Nelly to do what he did. I don't think his label ever expected him to be a pop star. I think they just signed this rapper from St. Louis. Country Grammar came out and became a #1 record. Like, I don't think they expected him to have that type of crossover appeal. So I don't think they ever knew what they were doing with Nelly. Nelly was just like a glitch in the Matrix who was putting out so many big records, and, you know, he crossed over that he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was put the album out. All Nelly had to do was say he was coming out with an album and deliver great records. And he did that. He came out with the Country Grammars and Ride and all those records off the first album. Then he came out with, you know, Hot in Here. That was a big record. So it was easy. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're hot and you're putting out great music and you've already crossed over a little bit, it's easy. But you know, the trick comes into play when, okay, you do get a little cold and everybody's not gravitating towards you the way that they are. Then what do you do? Then it's the label. To me, the label never knew what they was doing to begin with. You just happen to be that guy who caught fire at a great time. So you can't really point at the label and be like, all right, make this happen for me, because they didn't make it happen for you to begin with. You made it happen for yourself. You know the bad part about the game now? When people are off you, they really off you. And you got to think about it. When Nelly came out 10 years ago, the people that was on Nelly then were probably 15-year-olds.
Longer than that, like 15 years ago, I think.
15 years ago. So right. you think that a 15-year-old that bought Country Grammar, a 15-year-old girl that bought Country Grammar is probably 30-something years old now with kids. Her priorities are different. She probably still like Nelly, but just not enough to go to his shows. Just not enough to, you know, go buy his CD anymore. But she probably still likes him. But she's just not married to the culture like she once was. It's different when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you all in. You get older, your priorities change. And that's what I think happens to a lot of these artists. Their fan base that they had that was buying all these albums grows up. And they don't acquire no new fans because new fans are on to new shit. Like Flo Rida. You know what I'm saying? That's just the nature of the business.
Last time I checked, Cat Williams is either going to end up dead or living forever. And those two choices are fine. The real question is, if he were to die, would anyone care?
And it makes him seem like one of the greatest philosophers of the world because his pen told you this years ago. He wrote, what's happening nowadays. He's seen it. So it puts him on a level of a spirit or a god.